Doc Ock's tentacles are ready to wreak havoc. This week, we're swinging into the web of intrigue with Spider-Man 2. Will Peter Parker balance his crumbling love life, a demanding job, and a supervillain with 8 metal arms? Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the iconic Marvel classic Spider-Man 2. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here are a few ways that you can.
Have you checked out our brand new website yet? Danielle worked her ass off to get this website up and running. So for everything no more late fees, head on over to nomorelatefeespodcast.com and give her compliments. It's what she lives on.
I do. It fuels me. I also like money. Did you know writing a review and or rating us helps us get more listeners? Make sure you head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. If you've been watching and listening for a while, just say hi. Just say I love the show. It really helps us out a lot.
And we're not just great at selecting movies to cover. We also have a knack for finding nostalgic treasures you may fancy. So head on over to our Amazon store and check out all of our finds. Amazon.com/shop/No More Late Fees podcast.
This week, we are not alone. Joining us are our three Peters, Mike and Mike, from the podcast Mike and Mike Go to the Movies and The Complete Works. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for
Hello.
having us. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having us on to talk about genuinely like one of my all-time favorite movies. This is very exciting.
Foundational Mike Smith text.
Yeah.
I feel like we keep bringing you back for Marvel movies, and it's because I think like the first one we did Spider-Man first, and so
Yep.
that just was like, oh, would you guys be interested? Because I knew you guys were doing different kinds of movies on your pod, and I always like if people have podcasts, try to get them to come on ours to do something they're not doing on theirs.
Right.
And then I think we started talking about Marvel movies, and that's when I was like, well, Daredevil. And you guys said, sure. And then I remember us talking about other Marvel movies, and I know Mike had said he loved the Spider-Man 2 movie. So I was like, okay, but we will try and get you guys back on for something else. And we're not just using you for your Marvel knowledge, even though you're great at it.
I'm happy to do whatever, but if you want, an Ang Lee's Hulk episode, have you done Blade or Blade 2 yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
One day. Gotta happen.
And if you want to get to know Mike and Mike a little bit better, come back later this week as we discuss superhero sequels in our bonus episode. And you can revisit them on our Daredevil and Spider-Man episodes as well. But let's get the skinny on Spider-Man 2.
In the second installment in Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, Peter Parker faces fading powers and self-doubt as his alter ego Spider-Man faces a new foe. When a failed nuclear fusion experiment results in an explosion that kills his wife, Dr. Otto Octavius is transformed into Dr. Octopus, a cyborg with deadly metal tentacles. Doc Ock blames Spider-Man for the accident and seeks revenge. Complicating matters are his best friend's hatred for Spider-Man and his true love's sudden engagement to another man. That's right, MJ is creeping on a bitch, but we'll talk about that later.
He's an astronaut, please.
The movie stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Alfred Molina, Rosemary Harris, and Donna Murphy. It's directed by Sam Raimi, screenplay by Alvin Sargent. The story was by Alfred Gough, Miles Miller, and Michael Chabon. I hope I got... Okay, let me say that again. Story by Alfred Gough. How do you guys say his last name? Do you guys know?
I think it's Gough, and then Miles Millar and Michael Chabon.
Okay. Alfred Gough, Miles Millar, and Michael Chabon. You can watch it... Chabon. You can watch it on Disney Plus. And before we get started, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again,
The best would play and repeat.
5-day rental,
Would watch again.
2-day rental,
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
and same-day rental.
Garbage. Garbage. Straight up trash.
Okay, so Mike D, we'll start with you. What is your Y2K rating of Spider-Man 2?
I don't remember. I definitely saw this in theaters. I'm trying to remember my reaction from back then, but I don't know. I think I loved it. So that would be I would buy it.
Nice. My guess?
Yeah, this is it's going to be a boring choice, but yeah, I was all over this movie as a kid. I loved this movie so much. And I will say with Mike D, I think his love for the movie faded a little bit over the years, but I think the first movie we ever saw together in theaters was The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield. And afterwards, I had Mike D come over to my house and we watched all 3 of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
Because I was like, you got to watch them again. Like, they're really good. And so I think that like reignited Mike D's appreciation for this movie. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 A+. It was my favorite movie as an 11-year-old and would probably it's very high up there for me now.
Well, don't spoil the other.
Yeah, I know,
rating, Mike.
spoiling
Come
the,
on.
Danielle, how about you?
Okay, so I checked. I don't own it, but I thought it was good. I remember like, which one did we see together? Because remember
The first one.
we saw the first one. Okay, so the
Mhm.
second one, I think I took my little brother Christian, who's like obsessed with Spider-Man. So I'm gonna give it a 5-day rental because I don't think I ever bought it, and I liked it. I liked it at the time. I do remember that. Jackie?
I feel like I saw this movie, but as I was watching it, I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
Well,
So I
Whoa.
don't know if it's just like 20 years of just seeing clips of it and knowing
Yeah.
what the premise is. I don't know. So I'm going to go don't remember because I feel like I saw it, but I don't remember any of it.
Did you watch Spider-Man No Way Home? And when Doc Ock showed up,
Yes.
you're like, who's this guy?
I knew who he was, but I'm like, I don't. And then like we used to ride the Spider-Man ride a lot at Islands of
Yeah.
Adventure, so I
That
knew
ride rules. It's
of
really good.
Doc Ock. So yeah, it's all just a mismatch in my brain.
Fair enough.
Well, let's get into the box office. So this movie had a budget of $200 million and it made over $790 million, 795.9 to be exact. That's a crazy amount of money, especially
lot
for
of
that.
money.
Yeah.
For that time.
That's
period.
$2004? It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. On May 8th, 2002, following Spider-Man's record-breaking 115 million opening weekend for the first movie, Sony Pictures announced that it was going to have a sequel for 2004. And the record of this opening for Spider-Man 2 was the highest one-day opening on a Wednesday, and it beat the record that was being held by The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King from 2000. This movie originally was going to be entitled The Amazing Spider-Man after the character's main comic book title. The film was given a budget of $200 million when they had this name. And obviously, again, they were aiming for the 2004 release. We know now that it changed from The Amazing Spider-Man, but we did see that name come back up when they rebooted the series.
Yep.
Let's hear what the reviewers had to say about this. So Chicago Tribune gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4. And Mark Caro stated that Alfred Molina was a pleasingly complex villain, and the film as a whole improves upon its predecessor in almost every way. I have some comments about that. Lil Raj Ebert gave Spider-Man 2 4 stars out of 4, calling it the best superhero movie since the modern genre was launched with Superman 1978, and praising the film for effortlessly combining special effects and a human story, keeping its parallel plots alive and moving. He later called it the 4th best film of 2004. I gotta know what those other 3 were, but
Yeah.
this is high praise from Lil Raj.
Yeah,
High
I could
praise.
probably find that real quick. I bet I can find it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you can.
I do love that. It's best superhero movie since the first one. 4 out of 4. So that's 4.
All right, Roger Ebert's top 10 films of 2004. Found it.
Okay.
His number one was $1 Million Baby.
Okay.
Fair.
Which also won Best Picture at the Oscars and stuff. His number 2 was Kill Bill Volume 2. Hell yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
And then his number 3 was Vera Drake. I don't know that movie.
That was a good movie. I liked it. I love
Okay.
old people movies.
Yeah, there you go.
Hell yeah.
And then his Spider-Man 2 is 4. And it's Mulad, The Aviator, Badass, Sideways, Hotel Rwanda, and Undertow are his
Hotel
other.
Rwanda's so low. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
2004 was crazy.
I mean,
time.
it's one of his
It
top 10
was.
of the year. That's
true.
But yeah, that is a good movie. And The Aviator, good movie too.
Well, before we get into the cast and crew, let's hear a message from our podcast.
30 Dirty and Dying is the podcast for flailing millennials by flailing millennials. Every week, 2 sick, sad millennials who just happen to be best friends get together to talk about what it's like hitting the 30 mark and still feeling like you don't quite have your life together.
We're 30-ish, we're dirty-ish, we're dying-ish.
Every week we go back in time to relive the years of our millennial youth, whether that's cringe posts from the earliest days of social media, or all the way back to the 90s to see what was going on in pop culture. 30 Dirty and Dying is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have new episodes every 30 Thursday, and you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at 30 Dirty and Dying to keep up with what our millennial midlife crisis looks like next.
All right, let's get into cast and crew. There wasn't a lot of casting insights, but
Well, because it's the sequel and they're not going to change up anyone.
True.
Like the only thing I could imagine is like Doc Ox.
Yeah. Well, there was a
yes.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. No. There was a contract dispute in between
Mhm.
these movies with
Really?
Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, and so there was a chance for a little while that Tobey Maguire was not going to come back as Spider-Man, and the studio and Sam Raimi had Jake Gyllenhaal waiting. Like Jake Gyllenhaal, I
Whoa.
think screen tested for the movie. Like he was like almost ready, and I think it was partially because of the contract dispute, also because Toby had like real back problems from doing the stunts from the first movie, and that kind of contributed to this stuff, which is partially why Spider-Man 2 is sort of about, I mean, also about him losing his powers for a little bit so that Maguire didn't have to do stunts for a while. But yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal like almost played Spider-Man until eventually they got Toby back. But yeah, it could have been him.
There was a drama, to say the least. And so
Yeah.
there's like a lot of layers to this too, because like you said, we've got Jake Gyllenhaal waiting in the waiting.
He's on set in a Spider-Man costume. He's ready to go.
Ready to go. So there's disputes there. So people said that maybe it wasn't just that he was injured, but it was really like he was playing a card to say like, give me more money, right?
Right.
I think he initially offered for like 10% of the back end. He was like, give me that. And they told him no. Also, at the time, Kirsten Dunst has talked about this. She's talked about how little she got paid for these Spider-Man movies in comparison to her counterparts, her male counterparts. She talks about like how she didn't even know that she could ask for certain amounts and just like how insane it was. So when all the stuff came out about like Toby and his negotiating and what they were able to come back with, like $17 million is the salary he got, and she like not even close. And a lot of people argue that she shouldn't have gotten as much or even close, but Mary Jane is a huge factor in the Spider-Man story. Like it's insane that people would even say that. No one's saying that she, like, obviously she's not doing the same stunts that Toby was doing and so on, but like I question how much even James Franco got, and I bet you it's still a lot more than she got. And I would say she's the second lead essentially in this movie.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, Mary Jane is sort of the heart of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Like any actor should probably be getting paid more than they actually are. Like everybody should be getting paid more than they actually are in general in all jobs.
True.
No, I would
But
say women should be
but yes,
be
and
paid
absolutely.
more because
Yeah,
like
100%. And the pay disparity there is insane, and that's an issue across Hollywood and across all industries. And so yeah, Kirsten Dunst absolutely probably deserved a bigger payday for Spider-Man 2.
but you're right. Tobey Maguire, like 17 million, he is Spider-Man. Like, yeah, they could have switched him out because Sam Raimi was like, I don't give a fuck. I got Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm not out here playing with you because he also hurt his back even more because he had just filmed Seabiscuit. So all the horse riding just made his injury even worse. So he pretty much lost his job. Jake Gyllenhaal was going to replace him. And at the time, he was dating Ronald Meyer's daughter, who I think he ended up marrying and having his 2 daughters with. And obviously, he's the head of Universal Studios. So he is really what got him his role back and a $17 million paycheck. So nepotism in high regard here. Essentially.
Well, and Jake Gyllenhaal had been dating Kirsten Dunst, but they had broken up by the time they were going to shoot Spider-Man 2. And so Sam Raimi was concerned that like the chemistry would have been off.
I thought it was he was worried
Oh,
about
was
the
it
chemistry. Yeah, so he had Toby at this point, Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst had broken
Had
up.
dated. Oh, okay, got
And
it.
so they were worried about them not
But didn't
having the
she
chemistry.
date-
She did. That's what makes it so this whole thing
It's
is
messy.
so crazy.
It's so messy.
It is. They did date, and I believe I don't know if it was right after this or while this was happening, but they started dating, and they did it for a long time. Eventually, Tobey Maguire and Jake Gyllenhaal stopped trying to pretend they didn't look like the same person, different font, and like they did do a movie together with Natalie Portman a few years later. I think it's called like Brothers.
Brothers, right? Or they play
Yeah.
brothers. Yeah, because they look so much alike.
Yeah. So yeah, Kirsten has a type essentially, I guess.
Yeah,
with
there you go.
them.
And they did eventually get Jake Gyllenhaal in a Spider-Man movie years later.
Yes. In the Tom Holland ones. Correct.
Yes.
So yeah, there was drama. There were
several actors that were considered for the part of Dr. Octopus. That included Ed Harris, Chris Cooper, and Christopher Walken.
I would love to see the
Walken.
Christopher Walken Doc Ock. That'd be very, very funny.
That's too much. You can't have Willem Dafoe in one movie and then Christopher Walken. That's too silly.
Yeah, when Christopher Walken shows up in Dune Part 2, chef, it's so good.
We were playing, just side note, we were playing a cinema, which game was it? Like it's a game where it has a card and it tells you an actor, and you could either name like do 7 degrees of separations with 2 actors, or you could take one actor and like list as many of their movies as possible in a time frame against your competitors. So we did that as a family. It was my whole family versus me. And I think we pulled up Willem Dafoe, and in my head, I was like Christopher Walken. So I was going. Even though in our Spider-Man episode, I admitted fully with my full chest that I had saw those pictures of Willem Dafoe and thought he was hot, and y'all shamed me for that.
I stand by that.
We would never.
I don't think I did that.
But yeah, just that could be a fun bonus clip, but I just thought that was funny. Willem Dafoe was not originally supposed to be in this movie or return, but get this, he was walking.
Is so
Yeah, this is a great story.
random.
He was walking back to his apartment one night and saw the cast and crew filming nearby. He stopped by the set to say hello, and the filmmakers decided to give him a cameo appearance. So,
which ends up being like the linchpin, like tease for the next movie kind of appearance, which it's so funny that was not originally meant to be there.
Yeah.
Willem on his phone called his agent, like, where they at? Because
Oh,
I need to
yeah.
check.
100%.
I'm gonna walk by.
You're right.
I can say some lines, right? That costs money.
I just want to see him in a booth making that laugh. That's all I want to see.
Oh yeah, that footage has to exist somewhere. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
and I looked, Jake Gyllenhaal and Kirsten Dunst dated from 2002 to December 2004. So they dated during the filming of this movie.
Wow. So crazy. I wonder how much he was going to get paid. Was he going to get that 17 mil? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get into the movie. I have so many like thoughts that came through my mind while watching this.
Okay. So obviously, since I remember shockingly little about this movie, I'm probably not the go-to to progress the
Well,
dialogue, but
we can let
So-
my guest lead if you
oh
want.
yeah.
Yes. Don't
Um,
challenge him. He'll do it.
Sony Pictures presents. We hear Danny Elfman's score come through as a montage of scenes from the first movie, where you're seeing flashbacks over the opening credits, which that Danny Elfman score, so great. And then, yeah, it opens similarly to the first movie, where you're having Peter Parker's voiceover kind of telling you what he's been up to in the intervening years between the first movie. He's in college now, and he's doing Spider-Man, and he's still pining after Mary Jane, despite knowing that he can't be with her because of the danger that him being Spider-Man possesses and all that stuff. So the first few minutes is just a reestablishing status quo, try to get you caught up with what's going on in Peter Parker's life, and then he delivers pizza, and it's great.
I mean, right down to the first couple minutes of this movie is just like iconic. I don't know how else to describe it. All the cameo. Well, I guess they're not they're like retro cameos now that it's all
Mhm.
people that are famous now in
Right.
these tiny little roles.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, like, whoa, Asif Manvi's the pizza owner, like the shop owner. That's amazing.
Yeah, Asif
Um,
Manvi, Emily
so-
Deschanel
right,
getting the
I said
pizza.
that
Yeah.
I was on the phone with my mom. I said, "That's Bones."
Yeah, but he stole that guy's pizza, like that specific moment when he goes down the alleyway and comes out as Spider-Man to deliver the pizza. I don't know what it's been, but for 20 years, whoa, he stole that guy's pizza has been in my brain forever.
Yeah.
Isn't that the guy from Chappelle Show who
He's in a lot of
that?
Chappelle. Yes, yeah. I don't know his
Okay.
name, but he's in a lot of Chappelle Show.
Yes.
And then, I mean, like Daniel Day Kim pops up in this movie later on as Otto Octavius'
Yes.
assistant,
Ugh.
right? And Vanessa Ferlito from Death Proof is Mary Jane's co-star in the play. And
Yep.
Joel McHale's the bank teller. Hal Sparks is in the elevator.
Yeah.
Joy Bryant is just randomly in the crowd screaming, "Go, Spider-Man, go!"
Yes.
It's Donnell Rawlings. It took me a second because I couldn't remember, but yeah,
Right.
he's the one who says
Yeah,
that.
Phil
Elizabeth
Lamar is on the
Banks.
train. Yeah, Elizabeth Banks is Betty
Lamar.
Brant. Yeah, good stuff. It's just, and I think that's part of, obviously these are all people that kind of popped up later, but like, I think what's so cool about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies is they really capture like the character of New York in a really fun way.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the other Spider-Mans, which place less emphasis on that, I think, especially the Tom Holland ones, which like one of them's like, he's in Europe now. Like, I don't know.
Which
Spider-Man to me is like a very quintessentially New York superhero. And I think these three movies like really do a lot of work to make New York feel like a vibrant place with like a lot of people with inner lives.
It's Queens is like the other character in
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah.
It's like with Batman and God, now I can't think of the damn
Gotham City.
God, it's
Gotham
like
City.
it's like Batman and Gotham City. Like it's a part of the ethos of everything. It's another character, so it's so weird. But I do have a random question when because we're talking about New York. We know so many characters from the comic books are in New York City. You've got Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen. You've got obviously Spider-Man. There's just so many people scattered around. You got Jessica Jones. Everybody is in Manhattan. Is She-Hulk in Manhattan and New York as well?
Yes. Yeah, I think She-Hulk's in New York.
So, or is she in California?
I think she's in New York. I did watch the show, and I'm
Okay.
blanking on exactly what it was. But I'm pretty sure.
Doctor Strange is New York also.
Yeah,
Doctor
Doctor
Strange's in New York,
Strange is
yeah.
in New York. So everyone's in New York. But the Daily Bugle only has Spider-Man on the cover every goddamn day. And there's so
True.
much stuff happening. It's always bothered me so much. Even like when Jackie was talking about us going to Universal and the Spider-Man ride. And I'm just like, but what about the other characters? Do they
I mean-
ever get on this newspaper cover?
Sure. Well, that's because of J. Jonah Jameson's obsession with Spider-Man.
He is hyper fixated.
Yeah.
His whole career is solely fixated on Spider-Man and him unmasking who Spider-Man is.
It's one of the funniest parts of the movie with when he's like eulogizing Spider-Man and how maybe this was all a mistake, and then of course he steals his suit back and he's a crook, he's a criminal.
He's a
How
menace.
is-
I'll
how-
get you, Spider-Man. And he raises just to the sky. It's perfect.
I think he's just in love, y'all.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
Maybe,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a deleted scene from this movie that has J.K. Simmons like in the Spider-Man suit. Have you guys seen the scene? It's really great.
Yeah.
It's a deleted scene that I think it's included on the extended version or something, but it's like in the montage of like, I think it's in the Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head montage, like the Spider-Man no more, he's like without powers. then the suit is in the Daily Bugle, and you see J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man suit pretending to be Spider-Man on his desk, just like doing like the web shooters, like phew, phew. He's got the cigar in his mouth and everything, and like the rest of the Daily Bugle employees like quietly watching him through the window, like, oh my god. So it's a really great scene, yeah.
And J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is just so fabulous. Like,
Yeah.
it just perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good that they couldn't recast him for the new movies. They had to
No.
bring him back. They had to bring him back.
They couldn't try, and then they were like, we gotta just have him. We can't.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the best. And I love every scene of the Daily Bugle, which they do this in all 3 movies, but each one of them plays like just a 1940s screwball comedy, like it's His Girl Friday all of a sudden, and everybody's like
Yes.
talking so fast and snapping back, and his performance like kind of anchors those scenes, and it's so funny. It's so good.
I think one of the things that happens in this movie that I find so relatable and I like it, but it always frustrates me too at the same time, because I felt this way when I was watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Captain America Winter Soldier TV show about Sam like having money problems, and the same thing with Spider-Man in this movie. He is really struggling to make ends meet, and so is his aunt. It's a huge part of the plot of this movie, and I'm just like, I wonder, like, I would think it would be really interesting to see if they could make like a GoFundMe for Spider-Man or something, because he shouldn't be out here struggling.
He shouldn't. But
No.
the city's turned against him. Nobody likes Spider-Man because of J. Jonah Jameson.
Those
And also
bastards.
GoFundMe didn't exist at this point. This was 2004.
I
This was
know, but
2004.
like, it's crazy that poor Peter. I was really mad at him at the scene because like his boss tells him he needs to get these pizzas because he has like a guarantee if it's not there in a certain amount of time,
29 minutes or less.
they're not paying for it. And so I don't know why the fuck Peter got on that motherfucking bike when, dude,
You got to start as Spider-Man
start swinging, bitch. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
because he's got like 8 minutes at that point to get like 40 blocks or something, right? Like something
Yeah.
crazy.
And then he gets there and he fumbling the bag some more in the damn closet trying to change. Just deliver that Spider-Man, bitch. Like,
Yep.
she gonna call your boss? Like, come on.
And the way he's holding those pizzas sideways, I'm like,
Yes.
they're going to
Oh
be
my-
free anyway.
Right. It's like, for someone so smart, why are you so stupid?
Yeah. Yeah, he has a rough go of it in this movie, especially. I mean, I think one of my favorite things about the Sam Raimi movies too is that they really get right the idea that like everything has to be going wrong in Peter Parker's life at all times.
Yeah.
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 It's sort of like that Spider-Man dichotomy where if things are going well for Spider-Man, Peter Parker has to be suffering. If things are going
Right.
well for Peter Parker, Spider-Man has to be in like serious trouble.
Which
Like,
I don't
something's
understand
gotta-
because they are the same person. Like,
well, yeah, they're
he's
the
not
same, but they're
compart to.
two.
Go ahead.
But I think it's him trying to figure out how to meld those two identities, and
Yeah.
they're two different lives. Is his Spider-Man life is private to just himself, and nobody around him can be part of it, and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I think the way that I think this movie gets that the best out of any Spider-Man movie is, except for maybe Spider-Verse, which I think does this very well too, where just like, yeah, things have to be going really poorly for Peter Parker specifically, and like all of his
Mhm.
relationships have to be like torn asunder. Like, I don't know. If Peter Parker is not suffering, then there's something missing in a Spider-Man movie, I think.
I know, I don't know if this happens as much with female superheroes, but like I just think of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, how she has like
I'm
the
in a Buffy rewatch right now, actually.
Oh,
It's great.
nice.
It's the best.
When I think about the Scooby Gang, it is a source of power for her to
Mhm.
have her inner circle and friends and family that know about her powers and help her.
Yeah.
And then I always look at these superhero movies where they use it as a plot point that they can't be with the woman they love. They can't tell a friend. They're so ostracized and by themselves, essentially dealing with this. And I never understand the lack of community that some of these superheroes can
Yeah.
have.
Sure.
It's like,
It's definitely a Spider-Man will do anything but go to therapy thing.
Yes.
You know, like Like, just have a
Well,
friend and you'll
Yeah,
be
I
okay.
mean, I think the argument is always like in these kinds of superheroes where they have a secret identity, the reason they have a secret identity is because they don't want their secret to get out and their loved ones will be in danger. That's always the issue. But I think in this movie, Mary Jane gets in danger anyway. So like, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
like,
but she knows by the end. So
but she knows by the end. I think that's part of like the growth of the character is like allowing people into his circle and
Right.
specifically Mary Jane. And I think there's also hints in this movie that like a couple other people may also know about it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically Aunt May. But then also, I think Robbie from the Daily Bugle also knows about it.
knows.
Yeah,
There's a moment where they're talking to J. Jonah Jameson, and he's like, "I heard Spider-Man was there," and gives Peter the side eye.
He's got his guesses. I just always felt like that, and I can use that in my own real life where why am I struggling alone when the whole point is that you have people in your life that you should be depending on. They
Yeah.
want you to.
Sure.
And yeah, I know Peter cares about people being in danger, but there's ways around that. There's things that you could do to have like plans, but like we already
And
said.
if they're in the know, then like they can be better prepared to not be
Right.
kidnapped by the bad guy.
just constantly being kidnapped.
I'd be damned if I'm friends with Peter and I'm in my best moo getting ready for bed with my rollers in, and then a bitch is kidnapping me in my skivvies in the middle of the night, and I gotta go to work the next day.
Making you say the Hail Mary or whatever happens to
Right.
Aunt May in the first
From
one.
evil.
Yeah.
I think
Like-
that's what I appreciate about the MCU Spider-Man is that like Ned knows from the get and he's like ride or die for your boy. And he knows there's a certain amount of danger knowing that his best friend is Spider-Man, but like
Sure.
he's still gonna get the suit when Peter needs the suit.
Right.
Mhm.
But that's what pisses me off is that at the end they retcon all of that. And now he's back in solitude. And I'm like, I
Oh, and No
can't
Way
go
Home? See-
back to the Tobey Maguire days.
See, that's what I
just
love about the
fucking
No Way Home
can't.
ending. I think No Way Home is a pretty good movie. But I think the ending like really like brings it back to pure Spider-Man era. I mean, I think with Tom Holland, I like a lot of his stuff, and I think I like the group that they developed for those movies with Ned and with MJ and even Aunt May openly knows about it by the end of the first movie and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think that feels more like Spider-Man to me, like having to because Peter Parker has to be suffering. I just want Peter Parker to not have a good time and really like shoulder the burden of great responsibility. And I think I'm not sure how well it will follow up the ending of No Way Home in whatever upcoming form. They've been talking about making Spider-Man 4 for a while and they haven't really gotten it off the ground yet. But I also I don't know, the MCU has a habit of like undoing endings to their previous movies. And I think I don't know. I could see a situation where Spider-Man 4 is like in the first 20 minutes, we undid the spell. He's back.
Yeah.
I'm back,
Which-
baby.
I think there needs to be lasting consequences for the hero's actions to really like make impactful. And so I think for at least one movie, I would like Tom Holland on his own, like not include that extra supporting cast and maybe introduce some other new characters, like bring in a Gwen Stacy or bring in Felicia Hardy.
Bring Black Cat. I can't with
Yeah.
that Gwen Stacy bitch. I'm done. Okay.
I would like a live action Spider-Gwen. I think that'd be neat. But
Yes.
but also Spider-Gwen in the animated, like you're not going to top it in Spider-Verse. So maybe just move it a different direction.
Well, we do see Peter struggling at work, like we talked about. He gets fired
Yeah.
there. He gets fired at the Daily Bugle. He
Yeah.
is
Well,
struggling at
fired in like air quotes. He gets rehired almost immediately.
Yeah.
True.
because he's not taking pictures of Spider-Man anymore, essentially, because the newspaper has made him an enemy of the state, essentially. So
Yeah.
he's not getting those pictures. And then he's also late to school, getting in trouble with his teacher.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be writing a paper about Dr. Octavius and he's behind on it. And luckily he's still friends with what's his name?
Dr. Kirk Connors, played by Dylan Baker.
He's still
oh,
friends with
Harry.
Oh,
Thank you.
Harry. Yes.
He's
yeah.
still friends with-
who is funding Octavius's system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Harry gets an intro with Peter, so they're able to like.
But Harry's been talking shit about Peter to Doc
Yeah.
Ock.
It is funny every time you run into Harry in this movie, which like the first time is like there's a birthday party at Aunt May's house for Peter.
Right.
Peter forgot it was his own birthday. Classic Peter.
Classic Peter Parker.
And MJ and Harry are there, and like the second like MJ and Aunt May are like out of earshot, he's like, "You still taking photos of your friend the bug?" Like,
He's such a weirdo.
Really holding on to that grudge.
I mean, like, I get it. He thinks that, yeah, my daddy was unhinged, but the bug killed my daddy. Like, I get it. I don't understand why Peter and maybe he's just so far gone, he won't hear it regardless.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, my dude, I didn't kill your daddy. Your daddy killed himself.
right.
Your
Yeah,
dad
but then
was
that would
crazy.
involve him telling Harry that he is Spider-Man. And when Harry finds that out at the end of the movie, he has a bad reaction to
Yeah.
it.
But would he have had a better reaction if he had just told him the truth? I think the core message of this whole thing is that Harry and Peter were never really friends. Let's get there.
Sure,
They
yeah.
were never truly friends. Because even in the first movie, you see that because Harry knows that Peter has always had a crush on MJ and he still goes and dates her. So there's
Yeah.
no bro code there whatsoever. And it's almost like, why are you hanging around me? You're secretly my op. You're not my friend.
Yeah.
We are not friends. And so I think Peter has that inside of him that he knows he can't really trust Harry. I don't think he ever felt like he could trust Harry truly.
Sure.
I think he cares about him. I think he loves him because sometimes, especially when you're so young, and because Peter has probably abandonment issues or just issues in general, he's picked on so much, he is just clinging to the person that was actually semi-kind to him. Because Harry had enough power in high school to really beat up or put those bullies in place
Sure.
for picking on Peter.
Yeah, I
And
mean
he
their
never
friendship
did
is
perfect.
based on Harry was rich and smart but lazy, brilliant but lazy, like they say in this movie all the time. The rich but like lazy and needed help with his schoolwork, and Peter was helping it with his schoolwork essentially.
Yeah.
Like that's their relationship, and like their friendship out of high school was sort of based on that. But if Peter wasn't like smart kid Peter Parker, I'm not sure they would have been friends. He would have found another nerd to copy his homework off of. That would have been the thing.
Well, and the audacity for Harry to tell Otto that Peter was lazy. I'm like, he's working 2 jobs. You may not know about one of them. He's trying to save Aunt May's house. Like, what more do you want from Peter?
Yeah, I want to talk about Aunt May for a second too, because I think watching it again, and I've seen this movie a million times, but watching it again, Rosemary Harris, I think, is the MVP of this movie.
Yeah,
she's unbelievable, and I feel like I was on the verge of tears every time she spoke. I don't know, just every like
sincere.
It's so sincere, and yeah, the whole eviction notice thing, the moment at the birthday party when she tries to give Peter $20 and he's trying to give it back to her, and she's like, "Take it." The whole "be a hero" speech later in the movie, which I think is so powerfully acted and well done. Yeah, she's great in this movie, and she gets a lot of really fun moments too. She gets to bunk Dr. Octopus in the head with her cane, which is great.
She did all her own stunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did, and she said she loved doing her stunts, which go girl. I love that.
I mean, there's that pretty famous apocryphal story from Alfred Molina that they were in between takes or something, and they were up on like 30 feet in the air on wires and stuff, just hanging out. And she just leaned over to him and was like, "Oh, I'm classically trained," which is incredible.
Yeah.
I love that for her.
She is amazing. She does a really good job as Aunt May. So much so that I think, like, as much as I love Marissa Tomei's version, and Sally Fields, that's who I think of as Aunt May at this point, still in my head.
Yeah, definitely. I like Marissa Tomei a lot in the Holland movies too, but it's definitely like a newer take on
the Gen Z
character,
version, you know,
the Gen Z version of Aunt May.
The youths.
we need an Aunt May that Tony Stark can flirt with. That was the
yeah, true.
And they dated in real life, which was super funny. Like that he recommended her. He's like, my ex-girlfriend would be great for this role. So
he's
Robert
just
Downey
Tony's
Jr.
type.
Yeah. So we had the birthday party now, and so we see MJ. This is the first time we're seeing MJ and Peter interact, and they're having a weird interaction because he has made this decision in his head. He does not discuss it. He made it in his head that he is not going to pursue Mary Jane, and she is going through some feelings as well because she's kind of like guessing that he is Spider-Man or something. She knows something is not right, and she knows Peter loves her, and she
Right.
loves him, and she's trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Isn't that the last scene of the first one, right? I think they're at like a cemetery or something. And,
Yeah,
and-
it's at Norman Osborn's funeral. Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's saying like at the end of that movie, she's finally like, "I'm in love with you. Like, let's be together." And then that's when he says like, "No, we like." They kiss, and then he's like, "No, we can't." And then he walks away.
I
Yeah.
would have slapped him, but you know what? Mary Jane is not sitting on her laurels. She is not
She's
crying
not.
in a corner. She's
No.
got a hot new astronaut on her side. I screamed when I realized this because again, these cameos or these I don't even know if you call this one a cameo, but not knowing who Daniel is it Daniel Gillies is his
Yes, yeah, who plays John Jameson?
Daniel Gillies, not knowing him back then, but knowing him as Elijah from Vampire Diaries and Originals.
I
I
was
was
just
like, how could you leave him, girl? How? For no lip Maguire. How?
the whole time, every time he was on screen, I was like, "Who's this? Not James Marsden?" Like,
Yes.
I always think it's James Marsden when I think
Yeah.
back because James Marsden plays a similar role in another movie like this, and I can't remember which one it is.
all of them, I think.
That's
And
a
I
stock
mean,
James
he
Marsden
plays
role.
the similar role in the
In the Notebook, yeah.
True.
Yeah,
We wouldn't know. Hadn't seen
Okay,
hadn't
I'm
seen
gonna-
it.
But yes, I was like, oh, James Marsden, he's in Spider-Man 2. And then I was like, it's Elijah. Oh, Lord. I was so excited.
Yeah, I mean, she's dating the hot new astronaut, J. Jonah Jameson's son.
Hot new astronaut just dropped.
Yeah,
My
and
new album.
she's also like the lead of a play. Like she's the
Yeah.
lead of a Broadway play, The Importance of Being Earnest. And
Classic.
so she's doing great. She's doing great without Peter, but she does still have that like in the back of her mind, like I do still love Peter, and she like throws that out there in a conversation with him, like I'm seeing someone. Just a heads up, just to like gauge your reaction. And he's like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
The way Kirsten Dunst is phoning it in this movie, like I know she's a good actress.
Yes.
I disagree.
But in
So
this
I think she's
movie-
so great in these movies.
She ain't got, why she looks so sickly?
Yeah.
Did she get a cancer diagnosis in this movie? Where is the makeup?
She's so
Where's
lovesick.
Where's the lip? Give me
I don't
a
know.
lip.
I
Ain't
think
no
she-
lip color.
You
It's
were
like,
an actress, ma'am.
it's
Like,
nude, neutral, pale.
and that hair color does nothing for her.
Washes
And
her
I know
out.
MJ is like red, but like you could make her like a red with some dimension so it doesn't wash her out completely. It was
It's
the
just-
way
Yeah.
she said, what was it? I'm getting married in a church. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck was that line?
The close-ups. I said, why we did this to baby girl like this? She ain't never looked this bad. Never.
I think she looks great in this movie. I think she
You
looks really
are-
good.
You are out of line,
Apologist.
sir.
I think she looks great.
Reclaiming my time.
and I
Reclaiming my time. There ain't no way, Mike. You ain't gonna talk about it like that. I'm sorry.
Mm.
This is the worst I ever seen her, and she's played a drug addict. Okay, she looks pale.
She's played a vampire and she wasn't that pale.
Right.
Damn.
It's giving mediocrity. Okay,
It
like
looks
I don't know.
like she was
Whoa, shots
crying
fired.
in between every scene. And then she's like,
Yes.
okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then she just went in, ran through her lines and then ran back off set to continue crying.
Peter.
I think
I
that's
know that I love you, Peter. Like, what the fuck is going on?
See, I think that sort of fits like as if she was like crying off screen. That fits with almost every scene that she has in this movie. I think
So-
she's playing very much into the melodrama aspect of it all.
Well, she
which
does just want Peter to show up and he just
He
Won't
just
do it.
can't make it. He tried. He couldn't get there.
Where's her spunk?
pizza.
Like Mary Jane
Yeah.
is spunky. Like she's spunky in the first movie a bit. I know that she decided to actually color her hair red for this movie instead of wearing the wig, but the hair color is so it washes her out. Like
yes.
because she's already fair skinned. Something about that red color is not doing it. The last one, the red was very bright, so it gives a lift.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you guys, I'm not a makeup artist. I'm not. But I don't know who gave notes to tell them to make her look like she's getting a round of chemo. No offense to anybody who's got cancer. I'm just saying, like, that's how the life is just
Sickly
yes,
she
she
looked.
looks not well. And I don't understand why. What
Yeah.
was the choice in this?
I don't know.
It's not great. Also, James Marsden played a similar role in Superman Returns.
That's what it was. Yeah, he does
Yes.
play. He's like Lois Lane's boyfriend in that movie.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, speaking of the hair color, I just had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day. But we were talking about, because I was watching Spider-Man 2, and then afterwards, like, we were talking about some of the Spider-Mans, and we were talking about MJ, and she's like, "Oh, didn't Emma Stone play her once?" And I was like, "No, Emma Stone played Gwen Stacy."
Did you push your glasses up before you answered? Well, actually,
Emma Stone played Gwen Stacy, and she's like, "Oh, but doesn't MJ have red hair?" And I was like, "Yeah, but Emma Stone did have red hair, but then when she was cast as Gwen Stacy, they're like, oh, she's actually blonde," and everybody's like, "Wait, what?" Like,
Well,
I remember when Emma Stone was
color.
it is, yeah, but I remember
Yeah.
when Emma Stone was first cast as Gwen Stacy. Up to that point, she had only been seen with red hair because of Easy A and Superbad and The Rocker. Like, she always had red hair in those movies. And then she was cast, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's playing MJ," and it was like, "Psych, she's actually blonde, and she's playing Gwen Stacy."
We also see that Peter is like severely behind on his rent, like a month or something. And
Yeah.
the landlord keeps harassing him. And then the landlord says something about, if promises were crackers, my daughter would be fat.
yeah, what a weird dig at that.
is that?
Okay, hear me out. His daughter. Does she not look like she could play Helga in the
my
Hey
God.
Arnold live action? Think about it.
Oh my
Take a
God.
second.
I could see it.
I'm not trying to be mean. No hate to this actress. But that's all I was thinking about every time I saw her. I was
could see
like,
it.
that's Helga.
Yeah.
Just
Helga's supposed to be in
obsessed with
fourth
Peter.
grade, I think, so that might be tricky.
Look, she's tall as hell. She,
Yeah.
it's Helga
But
grown up. Whatever.
There
She
you go.
looks like him. Her,
Yeah.
I mean.
I love that scene when, I think it's around here, where Peter's like, "Well, I've got this $20 for the rest of the week," and before he's finished the
Just
sentence,
snatches
the
the
landlord.
$20.
Yeah,
First of all,
classic landlord move.
I would be calling the city because there's some violations in that house
Yeah.
alone. Okay.
With the
Or I would
bathroom in the
come in
hallway
my-
and all that.
Sure, yeah.
Peter doesn't use his suit enough. I would wear that Spider-Man suit, swoop in on that damn man on the toilet and say, if you don't leave Peter Parker alone, you're gonna have webs coming out your asshole. Okay?
I'm gonna web your asshole shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave my boy Peter alone. Poor Peter.
Yeah.
Right.
Love that guy though.
That's
Yeah.
why
Mr. Ditkovich. Yeah.
I knew you would know the name, of
Yeah,
course.
of course. But yeah, I mean, they have he's behind on his rent. He's slipping in his grades. It's a bad time for Peter Parker. Can't even make the show on time, which
Oh.
I do love that whole sequence. And really all the action in this movie is top tier as far as superhero action goes. Every kind of like, there's so much inventive camera work and stuff that they do with the suit and like everything around the action choreography and the fight scenes. They just look so dynamic and fun. And yeah, that sequence where he's on the bike and the bike gets run over by the car and he has to do the backflip and all that stuff, and he webs up the thing in the street. It's very, very good.
Yeah, that
It's-
was a really good scene.
Probably the
It's-
best Bruce Campbell cameo as the usher.
That's true. Yeah, Bruce Campbell plays
Do
the
love
usher, which Bruce Campbell makes a cameo appearance as 3 different characters across all 3 Spider-Man movies. And the longstanding rumor has always been that like secretly he was playing Mysterio the entire time.
Ooh.
But they never got to make that movie, so yeah, didn't get to happen. But that would have been a fun thing.
Who is he in the third one? I don't remember.
In the third one, he is the snooty French waiter who,
yes.
when Peter's trying to propose to MJ and like wacky shenanigans are happening behind him, it's Bruce Campbell that's doing them.
Classic.
But Bruce Campbell has said, I think this cameo is his favorite of them because he says he's the only guy that ever got to win against Spider-Man as the usher
Ooh.
in this movie.
I would have
It's like-
slapped the shit out of him. You gonna let me in this theater? I didn't come here all with these
And going back to
carnations.
going back to your comment about the camera work, they created a camera system called the Spider Cam, which allowed the filmmakers to express more of Spider-Man's worldview. And at times they dropped it 50 stories with a shot length of just over 2,400 feet in New York or 3,200 feet in LA. I don't know what the difference is between that, but
New
yeah.
York and LA are, and New York's taller, I guess.
Apparently.
Sure, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, and that's a very Sam Raimi thing. I mean, that's throughout his entire career, he's built his entire career on extremely dynamic camera movement, and that goes back to the Evil Dead trilogy. You have that in Darkman and Quick and the Dead and all those films, and those all kind of build to his Spider-Man movies. And I think Spider-Man 2 is like, in a way, like as far as like having a director with a distinct style, it's up there with like The Dark Knight. It's like, this is very distinctly, it's a Spider-Man movie. It's also very distinctly a Sam Raimi movie.
Yes.
And that's part of what I love about it.
There's parts of this movie where the horror element comes out. Like you could see it.
Yeah.
And
the
I
scene
do
with,
appreciate it.
Yeah, the scene with Doc Ock in the hospital where the doctors are operating on him is straight out of Evil Dead 2. It includes a chainsaw, actually, which is always great. But yeah, that whole sequence is amazing. The fingernails scraping against the floor.
Yeah, oh my god,
as the girl's getting pulled away. It's great.
But did he direct the Doctor Strange movie?
He directed the second one, Multiverse of Madness, which was his first movie in 9 years, and I think it's a pretty fun movie, but it's not nearly as good as these ones.
I don't blame him. I blame the person who wrote the script of that movie, because they just came out recently and said that they hadn't even watched the
WandaVision. Well, WandaVision hadn't finished by the time they were making this movie. That was the thing. They hadn't made, like, they were still shooting WandaVision while this was happening.
Could they have not talked? Could they have not said, this is like, come on, you know where you're going with it. That was infuriating. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about.
I'll say one last thing about Multiverse of Madness. I think it's a pretty good movie. That almost all of what I like about it is Sam Raimi's direction, and the fact that he had so much fun bringing in all these cameos only to kill them off immediately. I think that was so funny because I watched that in a pretty packed theater and was expecting like big reactions when the cameos showed up, and they did. And then my audience just like fell dead silent during the
amazing.
I loved when
such
they
a great
killed Agent Carter or whatever she was.
Yeah, well, that was so great because she says like the line like, I can do this all day, like Captain America, and my theater applauded, and then applaud like stopped halfway through because she immediately gets sliced in half by her own shield.
I was laughing, I was cackling because I hate her. I hate the actress.
Whoa.
But
yeah, fair enough.
Let's continue. Sorry.
I mean, one of my favorite scenes, and I think also one of the most like iconic, famous scenes from Spider-Man 2, is when the taxi gets thrown through the like coffee shop and that whole spin thing. And I remember talking to one of my friends, and he pointed out like, that's an insane thing to do for Doc Ock, obviously because he's a crazy villain, but like Peter only survives that because he's Spider-Man. Yeah. So if he doesn't know he's Spider-Man, he's just killed Peter Parker, which is hilarious. And who cares about that? Because the next moment we get to do cool Sam Raimi shit as the camera zooms in with the footsteps of Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And that's all I need in a movie. Is cool Sam Raimi shit.
When I was in high school, I took a film editing class, and part of one assignment that we had was to take one of your DVDs from home and re-edit a sequence from the movie with like new sound effects, new music or whatever. So I took that sequence, the scene where Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2 throws the car through the coffee shop, and I cut out the score and I replaced it with Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions.
Incredible.
And it really worked. It was really fun.
I think we're at the point where we meet Doc Ock.
Yes.
And so we meet him. Peter meets him. He gets that introduction from Harry, and they connect, obviously, because they're science nerds. And so he's showing him his new invention, like we said, or what is his company called? Harry's company.
Oscorp.
Sorry. Oscorp is funding everything, his research. And so he's going into detail. We meet his wife, played by the amazing Donna Murphy. I love that she gets top billing, even though she's in it for like a few minutes. But
she gets like one nice scene and then she dies, basically. Yeah.
I love her as an actress, mainly from Broadway.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that Octavius immediately takes a liking to Peter and is like teaching him about poetry and love and philosophy and all this stuff, just so he could immediately turn evil.
Yeah, I also like when Peter first shows up, Octavius seems a little bit like, I got to deal with this, like this college kid writing a paper. Like I got to do it because Oscorp's funding it and all that kind of stuff. But the second like Peter starts like observing what he's doing and is able to like, oh, and you're doing this to like do that. Like you can see in Alpha Molina's face, like, oh, okay, this kid's like brighter than I gave him credit for. And then they start bonding right after that. Like it's that like a subtle shift in Alfred Molina's performance there, which I think is really cool.
And Sam Raimi said that one choosing Molina to play this role was he saw the movie Frida that he had just been in. And so just, I think when they were looking at, they had a lot of iterations of writing this script. And one of the iterations had it that they were going to change the age so that Doc Ock would be the same age as Peter, like up here.
Oh.
And then they changed it so that he's more of somebody that Peter would look up to. And so if you look at him and his wife, it's almost like a slap in the face because this is everything that Peter can't have in his life or as Spider-Man. Right. So you're seeing that parallel. And I think that really interesting how you look at him being such a normal person and you could tell that the tentacles have taken over. And they talk about this. They talk about like what prevents these things from taking you over. And he's like, oh, this chip. And we learn that later on.
The neuroinhibitors.
Right.
Yes.
The nanotechnology.
The nanobots.
Yes.
Yeah. Science.
Everything movies thought nanobots were going to be, the AI scourge has turned out to be.
Yeah.
That's what they should have been preparing us for.
But when you guys were talking about that scene about how Doc Ock just throws, I keep saying op instead of Ock, but whatever.
I mean, I guess he...
So Doc Ock, when he throws the car and you're like, you're going to kill Peter Parker, he has no control.
That's true.
Those tentacles are not fucking thinking. They're like, destroy. They don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think Alfred Molina too. I mean, at this point, like, yeah, he was cast off of Frida, but like I think what's so cool about casting Alfred Molina at this point, especially, is like he wasn't a big name. Like he was a well-known character actor. He had made a career of like 20 years of being in like 15th build in movies for a long time. I think he was like best known probably for like being the guy who dies at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. But yeah, like it was sort of like, it's not that he was an unknown, but he was like just a really good working actor that was sort of familiar to the public, but not like by name. And I think if that role were cast today, I think a lot of superhero movies tend to go for like, well, who's the biggest name going right now? Yeah. Can we cast Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio? And I think having Alfred Molina being like, oh yeah, he's just a really good actor. We want to work with him and he'll do great. And he does. He's great.
I do love when they invest in actors who are maybe not as well known or character actors. They bump them up because I feel like the performances reflect it so much more because they're really giving their all. Like when you think about when they first had Thor, right? Like,
oh sure, yeah. Chris Hemsworth was a nobody. Nobody knew him.
And he doesn't really talk shit about Thor. Like if you look at all the other Marvel players, they have said some things, they have issues. And it wasn't until the last movie that he really started saying anything really, but he was always like completely gung-ho. He's like, I'll come back for another movie, because he is invested in that character. And I think it's because of how he got that character instead of like shunning it. They all have like this routine where they shun it because it's so popular, it's overwhelming for them. And then years later, they realize that they should appreciate it. It's like they all need that time away. Because
then a dump truck of money gets to their house and they get to star in the next one. Is how it works.
But I think that's what happened with Tobey Maguire. Like, yeah, I think he got paid, and that was a huge factor of him coming into the newer movies. But also, I think he has appreciation for the fan base now.
Yeah.
That he has some time away from it. And
oh yeah, absolutely. And now that, I mean, No Way Home was just such a victory lap for like all of the actors essentially from both this trilogy of movies and the Andrew Garfield movies, where it's like, oh yeah, people grew up in these movies, people like them, and even though that like some of them were like less well received than others, there's still like people who want to see you play that character again. That's great.
Yeah. And Tobey Maguire, like before Spider-Man, He was in a lot of indie movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
this is
his,
Pleasantville Erasure.
yeah, I think his
Oh,
biggest thing is
you're
probably
right.
Pleasantville. Yeah,
But still,
which
like,
Pleasantville,
Yeah.
good movie.
it is.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So we meet his family, and then I think it's like the next day where we get to see him do his presentation, right?
Mhm.
Like he
Yeah,
goes
the
to see
experiment.
Mary Jane like, in between this, no?
Yeah, I mean, he's trying at this point. I think maybe it's after this scene when he tries to go to the show and he gets kicked out and he's not able to go. But yeah, then he's like trying to see Mary Jane and he's trying to call her. She won't return his calls, all that kind of stuff. And while all this is going on, like he is losing faith in himself. He's getting depressed. He's had a really hard like time of it lately, and he's starting to lose his Spider-Man powers. And that's something that he's like sort of trying to dealing with and trying to figure out why this is happening. And so yeah, he'll be web swinging and suddenly his web won't work and he's just falling and sometimes falling really hard, just like
Yeah.
banging his back on the car and flopping back onto the street, like that kind of thing. And so yeah, there's scenes of him like going to the doctor to try to get to the root of what the problem could be without actually revealing that he's Spider-Man.
My
Which is
friend's
great.
got this dream where
Yeah.
he's Spider-Man. Yeah.
And that scene was so intimate with the doctor. Like the doctor
Yeah.
is sitting with him.
Like, puts his
Yeah.
arm around.
I had to do a double take in this scene because I was like, is that Michael Bay? Like, I don't.
Wow, great pull.
I was like, is
Yes.
Would've been a great
doing cameo? Because I was like, who is this man?
Just got
Such
done
a-
shooting Bad Boys 2 and rolled over to the Spider-Man 2 set.
And
I
that
don't
he's
know.
wearing a Grateful Dead t-shirt under his lab coat and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like,
This
what
is
is
a
going
cool
on
doctor.
with this doctor? Yeah.
And I just feel like, who does superheroes go to help them with this stuff? Like, what if he really was sick? What if he did lose his powers? That is
Yeah.
probably so anxiety ridden.
Yeah,
You know?
and that anxiety, that depression, that like loss of self is causing him to. He's got the yips. He can't be Spider-Man anymore. And so yeah, he's losing his powers, and eventually, like this happens later, I guess, but eventually like decides, okay, I'm done. I'm not being Spider-Man anymore. I'm losing my powers, and it's destroying my life anyway. Like I just have to be Peter Parker. But yeah, then you have the presentation with the Doc trying to showcase his precious tritium to the world, the power of the sun in the palm of my hands. And yeah, the presentation goes badly. It goes horribly around.
Yeah, he's not listening. He's not reading the room. Like,
There's
this-
like solar flares happening, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, maybe. And he's just like, no, it's going to stabilize. I know, I have faith in the tiny sun I just created.
Sir,
Yes.
no, it's bad. It's real bad out here.
Yeah, and so one small miscalculation and the thing becomes too powerful and it starts becoming super magnetic and people's stuff starts like flying off their bodies and going into the power of the sun thing. And yeah, things are going crazy, going haywire. And yeah, Spider-Man has to swoop in, try to save the day, but Rosie is killed in all the chaos, and her death scene is incredible too, with the shard
Yeah.
of glass that's flying towards her, and you see the reflection of her screaming face in the glass as it it's
Gnarly.
And it's
gnarly.
heartbreaking because I don't know if at this point, I think the tentacles have taken over. I'm not sure, but
But
there's
in
yeah.
this scene, yeah.
It's in this because yeah, you see the inhibitor chip like get fried from the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
because there's a moment where he sees that his wife is in danger and he wants to go there, but the tentacles wrap around him because their prime like motive is to protect him. They don't give a shit about his
Yeah.
wife. They don't know
Yeah.
about her. And that's when I was like, he's not in control anymore because his wife is dead. And
Yeah.
like his tentacles were not trying to help at all.
no,
They
definitely.
were
It's-
like, fuck a bitch. Let's
Yeah.
protect ourselves.
Yeah, so Rosie gets killed, Doc Ock gets taken away, like he gets knocked unconscious and like taken to the hospital where they're going to try to saw the arms off, but obviously things go badly there. And Harry is like mad about he's mad about the whole situation, mad that he wasted so much money on this, and now he's basically like, I hate Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the
All
moment
I
at the
have
end-
left is Spider-Man.
in that scene at the experiment when Spider-Man swings in and like saves Harry, and he makes sure to take a moment and yell, "This doesn't change anything." Like, so Spider-Man, like, okay, I'm glad we got that out of your system, Harry.
So
Yeah.
petty. So
Yeah.
petty. And like Doc Ock, he gets back on his feet and he's robbing banks. He's a man with a plan. He
Yeah,
wants
that
good.
No, that bank robbery scene is one of my favorite things ever. It's so good. I mean, I like the way it starts off. You're in the bank because Peter and Aunt May are trying to like get a loan to help her like secure her housing situation. And Joel McHale as the
That
like
piece of shit.
the snide bank teller is like, well, listen, yeah, there's like the amount of money you're asking for, we can't do that. And then she's like, well, at least we get this toaster. And it's like, that's with a deposit of $300 or more. And just the look on Aunt May's face when she can't even have a goddamn toaster.
Yes.
I
It's so sad.
I don't understand. Like, I know what Peter wanted to live his own life, but like, y'all need to come together with your resources. Why are y'all paying two separate rents? Doesn't
Bear
make
the
any
guilt
sense.
of seeing Aunt May. I guess. I don't know.
I guess, but he needs to get over it. Like, y'all
It's
need
not
to
in the movie.
pull your checks together. Like, this is not how this works.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, it's also the main reason in the comics, and they don't really say this in the movie very much, or that much in the Raimi movies, but in the comics with the original run, the reason Peter won't tell Aunt May that he is Spider-Man is because she has a very weak heart, and she's so frail that if she found out that he was Spider-Man, she would simply die.
Yes.
I would just write a note, dear Aunt May.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Don't die.
And I think,
Spider-Man.
yeah, these movies never like say that's the reason, but I think Raimi is absolutely drawing from these 60s, 70s Spider-Man comics that were very high on melodrama. And I think even though that's not like made explicit here, I think like that idea of like, if I were to tell Aunt May, she would surely die.
Right.
It's the most like 1967 thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I mean, if you read those old comics and you just read Mary Jane's dialogue, it's very fun because she's like basically like a 1960s hippie, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're going to the next club, Jack. We're swinging around. We're doing like that kind of thing. Ring a ding ding, baby." Like that's all of Mary Jane's dialogue for like 20 years. It's very fun. But yeah, and then like you have this scene where like they're getting denied this bank loan, and then the camera just pans over and you see Dr. Octopus in a trench coat with his arms sticking out. He's like, all right, I'm gonna break open the safe, and
he's already been doing stuff in the background, just off screen. Yeah,
and I love when he throws the thing at that goes towards Aunt May and Peter like kicks Aunt May's chair like across the room, like it's a slick side move, but then he runs away and Aunt May's like, Peter, don't leave me.
Yeah, my Nana would have cussed me out for the rest of her life if we're in that situation and I just fucking disappear without explanation.
Yeah.
Like
Myrtle doesn't play.
No, the guilt trip of it all. So yeah, now Peter's like, great, I got another motherfucker on my radar. Like, I don't have enough to deal with as it is. Because at this point he's given up Spider-Man and Doc Ock is becoming a problem.
Yes, absolutely. I think he's about to give up Spider-Man after this. Yeah. But yeah, Doc Ock's becoming a problem, and they have this huge fight in the bank in the bank where they're throwing change. And I love that it's like complete with like this old school vibe. All of the money is in like big burlap sacks with dollar signs on it, and they're all full of gold coins. And yeah, like Doc Ock's trying to get this money to raise the resources to get more tritium to fuel his reactor again. And yeah, while he's doing this, he kidnaps Aunt May. He takes her up on the wall of the building, and Spider-Man's trying to chase after them, and like Aunt May gets involved in this fight scene, and she sees this moment where Spider-Man's like charging at Doc Ock, and he's like about to stab Spider-Man, and Aunt May sees him about to do that, and she's like, "Oh, you awful man," and she knocks him on the head with her cane. It's great.
So great.
Save Spider-Man.
I love when she's on the building and she's barely hanging on, and then she just drops a little bit and she's on the ledge. She's like, "Oh, okay, I'm fine."
I'm not in any danger, actually.
Yeah, that's great. And this is the scene that like turns Aunt May's opinion towards Spider-Man, where throughout the first movie and like throughout the beginning of this movie, like when the birthday party shows up or when the birthday party's happening, and it's like, "Oh, Spider-Man, you're still taking pictures of that awful man." But Spider-Man saved her life, and now she likes Spider-Man. So there's that. And she has a great line where it's like, "Oh, we sure showed him." What do you mean we?
Right. I want to get a shirt for Aunt May that says, "I fucks with Spider-Man now."
Yeah.
Like, And then I don't know the chronological order of things,
Sure,
but I do know that Mary Jane's having her own crisis because she told Peter to kick rocks at this point. But at the same time, like there's an event that happens and her boyfriend like proposed to her and she says yes and this is announced and he's got to take the motherfucking picture.
It's so good.
Know.
It's a
That-
shame.
There's
He
so many
is
small
dying.
details. There's so many small details in that sequence alone where it's just like Peter can't even get like a little hors d'oeuvre on a tray.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
it's
trying
all-
to get a glass of champagne. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like small things like that where like he can't even catch the tiniest break. And it's so good. But yeah, at this point, Peter Parker has like given up being Spider-Man. And there's a recreation of a very famous Spider-Man cover where it's the suit in the garbage can, like facing out. And then it cuts into a montage of like him just living his life as a regular person, and it's raindrops keep falling on my head, which is such a lovely sequence. It's so fun.
He just
And-
has so much levity to him. Like he's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Ollie bouncing down the street.
and it
It's
feels like the
funny.
kind of thing that like most modern superhero movies like wouldn't have the time for. They wouldn't like
Yes.
Yeah.
spend that kind of character moment on. And it's such a great sequence, and it's him going across the street. He's doing better in school. He is
Answering questions. That's the
he's
funniest
answering
like,
questions.
detail. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing better in school, and he's able to see the play, and Aunt May is surprised, or MJ is surprised by it. But he's also like noticing crimes happening and being like, it's not my problem anymore. I
He
guess
watched
I'm gonna stuff a
that
hot dog in my mouth.
Yeah.
a vegan hot dog because Tobey Maguire does not eat meat.
No.
So that was interesting. But that scene where he's watching that poor man get rocked in the damn alley.
Getting
Yeah.
He
his ass
just
beat.
I
Yeah.
mean, you don't have to be Spider-Man and run up and he's like, hey, I see you. Something. It's daylight.
Yeah.
And then you see a newspaper that says crime is up 75%. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
No Spider-Man in the city.
It's funny. I conflated in my memory this sequence and the sequence in Spider-Man 3, but the cool guy Peter sequence. I
Yeah.
thought that happens when he's given up being Spider-Man. So
Yes.
Oh, really?
I don't know what happened in my brain. Yeah, I
Sure, yeah.
switched those two things around.
I've also
So
always been very pro cool guy sequence in Spider-Man 3, which has been my hottest
the
take for you.
the finger guns. That is the hottest Mike Smith
It's
take.
fun. I loved emo.
I like Evo Spidey too. I think Spider-Man 3 is easily the weakest of these three movies, and it's the one that's like beset by a lot of problems. But the stuff that works in it, I think, really works. And that sequence and the like crazy musical sequence where he gets up in the jazz club and starts dancing and singing. It's
Well, isn't that
great.
all the
I
same?
love it.
It is. It is all the same. So he's watching crime happen. He don't give a damn. He's living his best
unbothered.
life.
Yeah, he's
Unbothered.
like, I've been Spider-Man for so long, and I get nothing out of it anymore. Like like my life has gone so badly that I have to give this up, and so
Doesn't-
he does.
And doesn't he start dating the landlord's or like she brings him cake
No,
or whatever?
She brings him
right?
cake. It's
She's
just a
been
nice little
sweating
character
him
moment.
since
Oh,
the,
yeah,
the
true,
moment she met him.
And
Yeah, the low-key thing with Peter Parker, every girl in every movie into him. Like
I mean,
He
look
does
at
in
him.
the comic books. He has swag. He does because he has
Yeah.
dated everybody.
yeah. I mean that is the weird thing with, I mean, especially like post Spider-Man. He's like, okay, well now he's like in the first Spider-Man movie, like before he gets his powers, like, oh, he's a bespectacled nerd, he doesn't talk to anybody. And then he gets Spider-Man powers, he gets his glasses off, he has abs now.
He's
and it's like, oh yeah.
ripped.
Yeah. All that stuff. But that
Well-
was my big issue with Andrew Garfield in his first one, is that I thought he was too good looking to play Peter Parker. That was
But
my
Peter,
main.
I don't
he's
think
already
Peter
hot.
Parker is not. I don't think he's unattractive in the comic books. That's what
No.
always confuses me.
Yeah, he's not unattractive, but he's like sort of antisocial, I guess is maybe the word. Like he's
shy.
at first,
He's
sure,
an
but
introvert.
especially like once he becomes Spider-Man, like he is often like actively mean to the people in his life because he's like trying to get rid of them so he can go do Spider-Man things. And that's sort of what like brings a lot of his relationships down. Andrew Garfield, though, my issue with Peter Parker in Amazing Spider-Man is that before he gets his spider powers, he's already the coolest kid in school. Like he's
skateboarding in the hallway.
he's Andrew Garfield. He's got like cool high hair. He's skateboarding in the hallways. Like Gwen Stacy's already into him. And then he gets the Spider-Man powers, and it's like, cool. Now I'm the coolest kid in school, and I'm Spider-Man. That's
Jackie,
that's-
what were you going to say about
Oh,
the
The
girl?
chocolate cake. She comes in and she's like, do you want a slice of chocolate cake and some
Yeah.
milk? But then when they have the dish, it looks like it's only chocolate frosting and vanilla cake. And I'm like, you lied to him, ma'am. Like,
You know what?
never
I'm
gonna work
okay
out.
with that because for a long time I used to get upset when I would say I want chocolate cake. My mom always knew what I meant. I want yellow cake with chocolate frosting.
Yeah, like that is the superior, well, fudge frosting, but that is the superior cake. But like when someone says, "Do you want chocolate cake?" you assume the cake itself is going to be chocolate.
Yeah,
That's
you're right.
that's
Sure.
for the side podcast. No more late cake.
Yeah.
These are the
Yeah.
things I paid attention to.
That's right.
Well,
Yes,
I
super
was
good.
like, bitch, why did you take so long to watch me eat cake before you gave me my goddamn messages? She's like
She's so
ready to
smitten.
leave. She's ready
Yeah,
to take the
she's-
plate and lick it so it seems like we've made out. And now you're like, oh, by the way, you've got a message,
Yeah,
bitch.
That's the
Aunt
worst
May
mental image
called.
I've ever had.
I do really like that. I think that scene, what I like about that scene so much is that it's like the first like small kindness that anyone has given Peter the entire movie.
Yeah.
True.
Like every other scene in the movie, Peter is getting hit with backpacks. Like he's like everything
run
is going
over.
bad. Yeah, getting run over. Like everything is going badly, and it's the first time anyone in the movie shows like any small kindness to Peter, and it feels like the kind of thing that like keeps him going. Like one more day, he's like, okay, that was nice. I got my chocolate.
He did need it. He
He needed that.
break. And Aunt May, so he had two very important conversations. He tries to leave the message for Mary Jane, and she's not talking to him. But Mary Jane's having conflicted feelings, and she had the nerve to tell her hot astronaut boyfriend to lay back on the couch
Yeah.
so she
Just,
could recreate the upside down kiss.
Tip your head back for a second.
She's
Yeah.
like, I just like maybe I don't like Spider-Man. Maybe I don't like Peter. I just like kissing upside down. Let me try this out real quick.
This is a kink
Mhm.
for me that I have to get over.
100%.
And it's confirmed he is not the one. So she reaches out to Peter and says, like, let's meet up. On the other
Yes.
hand, Peter finally admits from the guilt he's been carrying since the last movie for the last 2 years that he feels responsible for Uncle Ben dying, and he tells his aunt what happened. Now, she doesn't just brush it off and say, no worries, Peter, it wasn't your fault. She's like, I got to go.
Yeah.
Like, I
she
gotta go
feels
think about
betrayed.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That scene is so devastating when he puts his like hand on hers while he's telling the story, and she just like slowly
Takes it
pulls
away.
it away. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah. But given time, she is able to forgive him, and like she's ultimately like proud of Peter for finally like admitting that and like letting
Yeah.
like all that stuff. And that is when she has this incredible speech that she gives about the need for a hero. And she's talking about like the neighbor kid who looks up to Spider-Man and wonders why we don't see him in the paper anymore. And I think it's this moment where it's like it becomes very clear that like she knows that he's Spider-Man at this point. Like she's
Yeah.
keeping it to herself because she knows that he doesn't want people to know about it. But yeah, I think that sequence where she gives that speech is some of the best acting in any superhero movie. And
Yes.
Rosemary Harris should have won Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars in 2004.
Okay. He is a reach,
She-
Mike. That's a little bit of a reach,
All
but
right.
all right.
She's unbelievable at it. She's so good. Who won that year? Let's
That's what I was just gonna look.
I just think it's funny because there's no way my mom or my grandma would have, like, if I was secretly a superhero, they would have never been like, I'm just gonna keep a secret because Danielle doesn't want to know. They'd be like, I know you in that first of all, I can't sew. I need them on my team.
Yeah.
I don't know like how
They'd
he
be
makes
hot
this
glued
suit.
together.
Maybe a hot mess
Stapled.
is what it would be. I would be on Etsy like trying to, I need you to make this costume for me. Like it wouldn't work. Yeah. So Aunt May and him are good. She's moving out of the house. And I don't know why he doesn't ask Harry for some damn money. Like, I'll let you meet Spider-Man. I just need to save Aunt May's house. Like, he's not even
I mean,
trying to help.
at this point, Harry's like actively hiring people to kill Spider-Man.
Right.
So I don't
True.
think it's a good idea at all.
But they're all too proud to ask for help in
You're
all
right.
these movies. You know?
Sure.
So
yeah.
true.
Absolutely. And yeah, Harry meets up with Doc Ock again and basically tells Doc Ock, I will give you all the money you need to finish your reactor, but you have to bring Spider-Man to me. And so Doc Ock agrees. And so that scene where Peter meets up with Mary Jane and they finally talk about their relationship. And at this point, he's given up. He's already met her again, having given up being Spider-Man. And he tries to get her back. And she's like, I'm married. What's wrong? Or I'm engaged. What's wrong with you? Like, why are
Right.
you
He's
doing
getting
this
married
now?
into church.
Yeah, like
Right.
why are you doing this now? And then yeah, she does the head back scene, and she does end up calling Peter, and she's like, okay, let's do this. And then again, he's like, well, I'm Spider-Man again. He doesn't say that, but it's like, now the thing that I thought I didn't have to do, I do have to do it now.
I remember being so frustrated watching like him do this shit and be like, Mary Jane, just marry this astronaut and call it a day. This dude ain't shit. I don't care if he's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, but then they're about to kiss, like as like kind of
Yes.
one last. She's asking him to kiss her just to
Them
know
dry
something.
lips
Yeah.
and no lip.
But then, yeah, Doc Ock throws a car through the building. It's awesome, and Peter is able to kind of like jump down and save her. But then, yeah, Doc Ock comes through and he kidnaps Mary Jane, and Peter has to find Spider-Man and have him meet up with Doc Ock and Harry.
I love movies. So there's the scene earlier.
Movies,
After-
they're good.
Movies are good. Just because it's so funny sometimes the way structurally the movies have to do things certain ways. There's a scene at a throwaway line at the end of the failed experiment where like two survivors are like walking together out of the wreckage. And so one of them just says like, oh, thank God he had so little tritium. Otherwise he would have leveled the city. And then they walk off street. And then an hour later, Harry's like, I'll give you all the tritium we have. So you know what the stakes are. That's so funny to me. On just like a metatextual level that movies have to do that.
Oh, where is this abandoned building
Yeah,
that
right?
he's taken Mary Jane to? Because it looks like it's sinking. I'm like, what is this? But that's not where they meet up. I just had that question.
Oh, sure.
So the scenes on the subway are
where
takes-
Spider-Man's Jesus?
Yes.
Yes,
Spider
which
Jesus.
happens a lot. That is a huge thing that happens in a lot of movies. We see it in The Matrix. We've seen it many times in different
The
movies.
director's cut of Daredevil where he pulls
Yes.
goes up the escalator like Jesus.
Yeah.
But the train scene, it was filmed in Chicago. Because I kept watching and trying to look because really there's a few stops on like the 7 train that is outdoors that go from Queens to Manhattan like that.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to think of what other lines did the same thing, but it's like it looks familiar, but it didn't. And then when I found out, okay, they filmed this in Chicago, it all clicked for me.
That's
Sure.
that's another one of those like movie things where it's like this is a subway line that has no stops and just dead ends in the middle of downtown,
Yeah.
like or midtown or whatever.
Super weird.
What is this? This isn't how trains. But yeah, I love that scene too. But yeah, it's one of those the like abandoned warehouse on the docks thing feels like such a holdover from like 60s and 70s New York where there just were abandoned lots everywhere and the city
Yeah.
was bankrupt
Yep.
and there was nothing going on. But you think about it in late aughts or whatever, or I guess early aughts. There's no unaccounted for piers. Like that's not
No.
how that works.
Yeah, one thing I mean the whole subway scene I think is incredible. Like the actual action is amazing, and I think that's probably like the peak action scene in this movie. I also really love. It really reminds me of the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original from the 70s.
With Walter
which is-
Matthau, who was almost
so it's almost the subject of Complete Work season 4. But that movie is, I think, one of the best New York movies ever. Just capturing the vibe of New York. And Spider-Man 2, I think, does a really good job of that and like recalling that, and just like scenes with like the passengers on the train, like Spider-Man's doing his best to try to stop the train as it's like running away, and he's doing and it's not working. And just there's an old man in the background being like, "You got any more bright ideas?"
Yeah, like it's
just
such a
roasting
New
him the
York-
entire time.
New Yorker
Yeah.
thing to do. I do love like he does stop the train, and at some point the thing that always confused me was like, okay, Doc Ock wanted him to come so that they could fight, so that he could take him to Harry. But like, I don't know if it's just that he was like, oh, I'm not winning this, so I'm going to just make him have to catch the train. Like I never understood like what is the purpose of this? Like, are you tiring him out? Like
I think that would be a valid reason to try to tire him out, because Spider-Man's going to try to save as many people as he possibly can.
right.
And that is the reason. I mean, it's sort of why he comes back to it in that, at the end of sort of his Spider-Man No More thing, right before he gets the suit, he has that scene where he goes into the burning building to save that kid.
great callback to the first movie.
Yeah, which in the first movie, it's the Green Goblin in disguise.
Yeah.
And this, he's saving that kid in the burning building, and he finally gets her out. And then at the end of that scene, somebody comes up and is like, "Some poor soul got stuck on the 4th floor, never made it out." And I think Peter has that moment where he's like, I could have saved that person too if I was
Yeah.
like fully involved in like Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff. And so by the time you get to the train sequence, like, yeah, he's doing everything he can to save as many people as he can. And Doc Ock is doing everything that he can to put as many people in danger so that Spider-Man's distracted by the amount of people he has to save. And so he's like lifting people off the train and throwing them across the streets. Yeah.
I totally forgot about that building fire. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I don't think none of us have kids, right? But we could imagine having a child, right? First and foremost, I don't know how I'm getting out of a building and my child
Yeah.
is still in the building.
Every
That's
man for
one.
himself. That's
And
Don't ask questions
two,
you don't want the answers to.
the facial expressions of these two parents. First of all, hell or high water, you're not stopping. I'm running in that building if my child is in there.
Mm,
These parents are literally standing outside and they're like, well, I guess. Like it's insane. Just rewatch those two parents because I don't know what direction those two actors were given, but it wasn't your child is in a burning building. No one is helping. She gonna die. Like, I don't know if they didn't know if she was in there. And like, she was so young. Like, I was having so much anxiety, but I was pissed. I wanted to call CPS so bad on these motherfucking parents.
Yeah, call it on Spider-Man too, because at one point he like throws the kid over the floor, which is a great
And
like,
then
man, that kid probably slammed down hard.
And then the kid helps him up, it seems.
That's right. New Yorkers look after each other, God damn it.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
I was like, is she 2 years old? How's she picking this bitch up?
Yeah. I won't lie. The moment in this movie at the with the subway car when like after he stops the train and he like goes to pass out and like they all catch him before he falls forward, got emotional. Not gonna lie. Like I was so shocked. I was like, what is happening to me right now? And then they carry him like Jesus back to the
right.
They
gave him his mask back.
Yeah.
I passed out on a train once, a full train, and everyone was so nice. The conductor came and gave me water. Like,
wow.
They could have stolen.
I thought you were gonna say they abandoned you.
No,
did they hand you your mask back and say it's okay, your secret's safe with?
No,
he's just a kid,
I'm
no
not,
older than my son.
I'm not a weak ass bitch. I'm showing my face to the city. They know who I am.
Remember this. I better be well compensated for all this shit I'm doing for y'all.
It's such a weird, like that moment is such a time capsule of pre-cell phone or pre-smartphones, right? Like at Twitter, like we'd all be, everybody would be filming that.
It's just like in the new Spider-Man, he was outed very quickly.
Yeah.
So Doc Ock and him are fighting again. He's got to pull his burnt up mask. The kids come bring it in. They're all like, he's so young. He's just a boy.
Just
no younger than my own son. Like, shut the fuck up. What are y'all doing?
Meanwhile, I'm over here crying on my couch.
Yeah.
And
it's an emotional scene.
And they're all like, then Doc Ock's like, let's go, bitch. And the other people
it's so
like,
funny.
They're like, no, you'll have to get through me first. And me. And me. And me. And he's like, all right. Whoosh. Knocks them all out.
Yeah,
and
that is so
like,
good.
This is cinema. This is cinema.
The movies.
Yes. And so, yeah, he is able to take Spider-Man. He's still weak. He is all whatever. He drops him off with Harry. And yeah, Harry unmasks him and discovers that he is in fact Peter Parker.
Peter, how? Why would you do
stars.
this to me, Peter?
Yeah.
My love, not you, Peter.
Yeah. And then Peter gets up and he's like, listen, Harry, we don't have time to deal with this right now. I gotta go stop Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, I
I'm
killed
Spider-Man.
your
I have
daddy
stuff
and
to
I'll
do.
kill you too. I gotta go. Like, I don't have time for this. He doesn't even say that MJ's in trouble. He's just like, there are bigger things to worry about. Like what? I can understand from Harry's perspective, like, what bitch might you kill my daddy? And you're
Yeah,
my
right?
best friend.
Yeah, Peter's never been the best at communicating. That's really his.
There's one thing we come away from this episode with.
Spider-Man's great weakness is his lack of communication skills.
Yes.
So he goes to try to save Mary Jane. She all tied up and she's like, look, you got Spider-Man. What the hell am I chained up? He's like, you gonna tell the police. And he also says, as if they could do anything. Exactly. Let's go.
This is the one.
Question.
the one spunky MJ scene that you were like, where's the
Yeah.
sass, when she like whistles at him and is, I forget what she like insults him. It's like, what do you do? Let me go, you idiot, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like the one time she has like, oh wait, I'm a person and can have agency.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. She is also about to, at some point, like smack Doc Ock on the back of the head, like Aunt May did earlier.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Doc Ock notices this one and like knocks her back at one point. But yeah, so Spider-Man shows up and MJ sees him and he finally like reveals to her that he is Peter. Like he takes the mask is off, and that dawning moment of realization, like she always knew, but now she actually sees it. That's a good moment. It's great. I really love that. And
She's ready to dry hump his leg in that moment.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
real.
it's like
And
every
a building
like,
falls on her.
Yes.
like
And he
everything
goes,
clicks into place at that one moment.
Yeah.
when that building does fall on him, he's like,
Yeah. She's taking a long time to get out of the way. Yeah.
Like, please move.
I thought she was stuck under something. That's why she couldn't.
Yeah. I mean,
'Cause I
she's
was
got
like,
some
I
like
know-
stuff on her, but yeah.
I think she's partially in shock, like a little bit. So like at the
and how hunky Peter is, you know.
I was like, Mary Jane, bitch, get up. What you laying there for? It's not bedtime.
I also love in this scene too, because like the experiment obviously goes wrong again, and I think he electrocutes Doc Ock and stuff. And there's the scene where, or the moment where Octavius comes, like regains control, and Peter has to like, we need to destroy this experiment, and then like he has his like kind of heroic sacrifice moment. I don't know. That's the like we were talking about earlier with casting somebody like Alfred Molina who can like really sell this stuff instead of going with a stunt casting thing and having some
Yeah.
huge star who would probably be very good also. But like you get like some really powerful character acting moments when you have somebody like Molina in there.
Yeah, definitely.
True.
And this, watching the ending again, this is the first time I've watched this movie since No Way Home came out, at least in full. Whenever it's on cable, I end up watching all of it. But but this is the first time I've watched it since No Way Home came out, and I was watching it and being like, does No Way Home kind of like undo the ending of this movie a little bit? Because the
Yeah.
idea of it is that all of the villains from the other Spider-Man movies get like pulled away right before they die.
Mhm.
Right.
And like the idea is they get sent back to their universes, but like they're not gonna die because like Tom Holland has fixed them. They're not bad guys anymore.
Yeah.
And so like I do wonder like what this universe looks like now, where
It's
like
a different universe. Whatever's in the past has already been done. So it's a wherever they go back to is a universe similar, but it's a different universe.
like an
I don't-
adjacent universe. Yeah, I
Yes.
guess. But yeah, it does like it weirdly sort of undoes the ending of this movie, which is a little bit of a shame because I think the ending of this movie is really like I really love Doc Ock's self-sacrifice. He does turn good at the end,
Yeah.
and because finally takes it upon himself to destroy this thing that is going to destroy the city.
He was never bad. It's
Right.
Yeah.
the tentacles.
He was just
Now-
drawn that way.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I don't know, that sun thing
Mm-hmm.
is in the water. Does it
I get-
explode? Like
It
what?
seems to imply it like extinguishes it or something.
Yeah, I think the water.
But yeah, they don't really.
Yeah,
That's why we can't eat fish, y'all.
True.
yeah.
'Cause
Because
stuff
the
like-
The
radioactivity
radiation from the sun.
from Doc Ock's tritium experiments. Yeah, but you have the self-sacrifice, and then you move on, and Peter and MJ have their kind of moment outside there, and Peter's like, "So now my secret, like you understand why I can't, like we can't be together because all that stuff." And she's at first like, "Yeah, that's sad, but I agree." And she's like, "I'm gonna go ahead and marry the astronaut, John Jameson, who in the comics, by the way, is a werewolf." I'm just gonna throw that out.
Fucking what?
Yeah, he's Man-Wolf, which he's an astronaut who gets like a moonstone like seared into his body, and he becomes a werewolf at the full moon.
They
That's the
were
coolest shit ever.
just throwing words and throwing darts at them.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yep.
we've got it.
Just
Yes.
doing so much
This is
acid.
it. Yeah.
Werewolf astronaut. But I don't know. I thought she was more like, I don't care. I want to be with you. And he's kind of like, no. And then I don't know.
I think she's kind of like, I get where you're coming from. I understand we should move on to our separate things. But then she's about to get married. You see the wedding. Everybody's there. The groom's sitting there. J. Jonah Jameson's there. And the bride is nowhere to be seen because Mary Jane did not show up for her wedding. And you see her running through the streets of New York City in a wedding dress with a big smile on her face. And she shows up at Peter Parker's house. And I do wonder, she's ditching J. Jonah Jameson's son to be with Peter Parker, who works for J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
And we never really get this, but I am curious what J. Jonah Jameson's reaction was when he found out that's who she left his son.
Yeah.
True.
Because he's so spiteful. I would I thought about that too. Like,
Well,
when
the
he's trying to
way
get the revenge.
the way his head whips around, like right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "We're the caterers. Don't open the caviar."
And was that lady who was helping Mary Jane get dressed in her wedding dress, was that supposed to be her mother? Like, who was that lady? We don't know, right?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I don't think her mom's around, right?
Yeah, I think her mom's not around. Yeah, because the first movie, she's just living with her dad, and she mentions that her dad saw the play, like once to ask for money.
Yeah.
Even he saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she mentions her mom. I don't think her mom is in the picture.
The dress isn't awful, but again, no makeup. Hair is too
Mid.
very mid. I'm like, you were about to get married? Like, girl, bye.
Married with J. Jonah Jameson astronaut money.
Right.
Like, you had a budget.
They were going to be a real power couple, like a Broadway actress and an astronaut. So that's pretty big. But she leaves it all behind so she can go run to Peter Parker, and she has her kind of big emotional moments. Like, I don't care. I want to be in this adventure with you. I want to be part of Spider-Man's life. And he's thrilled, and they kiss. And then he hears danger, and she says, "Go get him, Tiger," which is a classic Mary Jane line. And he leaves to go be Spider-Man and fly through the city and stuff. And I think what's really interesting about the ending of Spider-Man 2 is that's not the last shot of the movie. The last shot of the movie is Mary Jane looking out the window at him as he's Spider-Maning away. And you see her smile like kind of start to fade, as if like, what did I just get myself into?
Right.
I've made a gray bear.
Yeah, it's the ending of The Graduate, but it's in superhero form. And I think that's a really great ending for this movie, where it's like now we have to live, like I have to live with the consequences of this choice that I'm making right now, essentially.
And that's
And
Spider-Man's
The movies, baby.
Well, we can't forget the real end of Spider-Man 2 is Vindicated.
Yeah,
Oh,
my dashboard confessional.
Instantly took me back. I was like Ratatouille. I just like whoosh back into my memories.
Yeah,
Love it.
I met the guy from Dashboard once.
Oh, wow.
I did, yeah. He did an acoustic show for a radio station I used to work at.
Awesome.
And I basically only knew his song from Spider-Man 2. It's like, oh yeah, Spider-Man 2 guy. Here he
Well,
is.
Chris Carrabba. Is that his name?
I think might be it. I think Ben Gibbard, or is that's the Death Cab for Cutie guy?
Yeah.
Hold on. It was definitely the Dashboard guy who I met. It's
well,
incredible.
the band.
And I'm sure he has no memory of this.
I'm sure he's thinking about it every day.
Yeah, I think it was Chris Carrabba. Yeah, it was him.
They're from
Well-
Boca.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, the band Dashboard Confessional agreed to write the song for the end credits if they could have an advanced screening of the movie, and the studio agreed. After watching the film, the lead singer wrote Vindicated in 10 minutes. And I can tell.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's awesome. They just really wanted to see Spider-Man. That was
Good
it.
for them.
That's what you call leveraging your talents.
I don't want back end points. I just want an early screening.
Let's see if there's any other fun facts that we missed.
I was interested watching the movie because one in general, like I think the CGI like looks incredible. Like it looks better than a lot of movies that come out today.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering like how much of the tentacles was practical versus CGI. You see on here that there was a effects studio that made like a rubber and metal and foam rubber tentacles, which is insane. Weighed over 100 pounds. That's insane. Like just imagine Molina up there just hanging on those wires, carrying 100 pounds.
Yeah, there's a great set video of Alfred Molina singing a song from Fiddler on the Roof, like with the tentacles packing along.
I think I have seen that. Yeah.
That's
like,
because
if I
he
were a
was-
rich man, yeah, da, 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 and it's the tentacles going. Like, it's great.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah, I
because he
think
was actually doing Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway at the time as he was filming this movie. At
Yeah,
the same
he had to
time.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he hated doing the stunts. Like the stunt team would like have to trick him into doing stunts because he just
Like when you
the
give your cat
exact
medicine and then
opposite of Rosemary Harris.
It's just a real Bowfinger situation where they have to like
Yeah.
trick him into different things.
Exactly.
He
Um,
said he didn't like taking away the work of the real stuntmen.
Fair enough. But yeah, but I do think the tentacles, like they had a real practical set. And if you watch No Way Home, I think it's like all CGI tentacles in that movie. And I do think they look better in this movie. Like, I think it's like there's a practicality, there's a physicality to it all. And there's a real weight to all of the action sequences and the visual effects that make this movie, I think, a really timeless 21st century blockbuster.
Well, the movie was sent to cinemas under the name Spray Paint to try and avoid the attention of pirates, which
Okay.
Amazing.
I would have never guessed. Spray paint. Okay.
Mike
Yeah.
Mike Smith, as a professional movie man, does that
Yeah.
stuff still happen?
Not that I can think of, but I mean, the theater that I work at is mostly small scale indie movies where that's not really as much of an issue. As
Fair.
much of an issue.
Well, and I guess a lot of and a lot of like blockbuster movies like this would likely not be on film in canisters that need to be physically delivered.
That's
right?
also true. It's
Yeah.
all digital, so there is that. I mean, I also stuff gets leaked so fast
True.
now.
Right.
I mean, stuff gets filmed on set and it goes on Twitter, and people I knew about a lot of the cameos in No Way Home months before the movie came out because of people on Twitter, and that's lame. It used to be back in the day when Spider-Man 2 mentioned Doctor Strange, you're like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Nothing's surprising anymore. They have to do so much to hide stuff.
yeah,
That's why I don't watch trailers anymore.
Yeah.
famously empty.
Unsullied, yeah.
Well, this is the first and only live action Spider-Man film to win an Oscar as of 2023. So
For
Nice.
visual effects, I assume, right? I think it was
Mhm.
visual effects.
it was
Yeah.
nominated
We-
for 3 different categories, but it won for visual effects. Yes.
Okay, and it should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Rosemary Harris. It's already
And
been
best original song.
I mean,
Yes.
Best Picture? Question mark?
Maybe.
Okay, well, let's move on from Mike's delusions. And why don't you guys tell everybody where they can find you on social?
at Complete Works Pod on Twitter. That's WRKS, no O in the word works, and at Mike and Mike Pods on BlueSky. And our Ko-fi page is ko-fi.com/Mike and Mike Pods, plural, because there's 2 podcasts. And if you donate $50, we will watch any movie you want us to watch. You can donate $50. We'll review anything you want.
That's right.
And you can check us out at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. Let's get into our present day ratings. Start with you, Mike D.
I mean, would buy again, would continue to own forever. I swear I had a DVD of this at one point, and I don't know where it went, or at least of one of the Spider-Mans. I think of any of the Spider-Mans, it would have likely been this one, but I don't know where it is anymore. So would buy again.
Okay. Yeah, my rating is obviously would buy again if I didn't already own a couple of copies of it. I have a Spider-Man 2 DVD that I've had since I was like 10, but when No Way Home was coming out, I rewatched all the Spider-Man movies, and I used the opportunity to buy the 3-movie collection on Blu-ray, and it's a really nice Blu-ray set.
Notoriously, one of the worst Blu-ray covers is the Spider-Man trilogy, but I think that's the solo, like the standalone movies. It's just a blue background with their face in profiles.
Oh, yeah, this is not that. This is a really nice set. It's like a booklet kind of thing. So you open the book and like the
Whoa.
discs are inside, and it comes with Spider-Man 2.1, which is like the extended version of the movie, which I think includes the J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man outfit scene. It also includes the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3, which I have yet to watch, but I've heard it's like slightly better than the original version. So
Interesting.
there's that.
Mine is still a 5-day rental. I think I'm solid there. What about you, Jackie?
Toby is not my favorite Spider-Man.
Mm.
And so I'm going to go 2-day.
What?
I know.
Devastating.
Wow.
I know. It's Tom Holland for me. So.
Okay, fair.
But if you have an opinion or want to tell me I'm wrong, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. Hit us at the Twitters, have us at the Threads, and you could be featured on a future episode. And we actually have Nick called in to give us his opinions.
What's up, Jackie and Danielle? It's Nick again, driving home, stuck in traffic. So, you guys, after listening to your podcast, I just listened to the Mama's episode. I was having a thought when Mama Terry was talking about these sort of like generational changes in the ways in which mothers impart wisdom about empowerment in their relationships. Like, I don't know if you two have any thoughts on this, but something that I've been noticing in my circle and just looking around is like, feel like millennials, and perhaps this might just be my social circle, so I really kind of want your input on this, but millennial women, I'm seeing this sort of trend where some of them are getting married kind of young. It was something that the mamas were talking about how, like, you get married to a man and then he stays the same. And it's like, dude, like, your life has changed. You should change too. And these men are not changing. They're still just the mediocre, immature, typical bro. And so, but what I'm noticing is that these empowered women who are like hitting their early 30s are like, you know what? I'm better off alone than I am with your just mediocre vanilla milk toast. And so, like, there's a lot of single women in their 30s that are just holding the line. And I'm wondering if, like, we're going to find eventually, hopefully this next generation, maybe the generation after, like, men that aren't such, like, accepting mediocrity and men that are growing up to actually be excellent men. But it's going to take a generation of women holding the line and just not letting themselves fall victim to shittiness and deviousness and mediocrity all over the place. It was just one thing I was thinking, like, when you're having that conversation with your mom about this sort of, like, generational shift on women empowerment and relationships. And just wondering, I don't know, should more millennial women be watching First Wives Club in solidarity with their, single sisters? Anyways, just thought while I'm stuck in traffic. Love this episode. That was a good time. Talk to y'all soon.
I agree. And I think it's going to be a shift in women who have children, imparting that in their sons, that like, you do need to be a partner and it's not just all about you. What do you think?
I honestly, unfortunately, until men come together as a community and start having that, because I think a lot of women have those conversations with their boys, but if you don't have community to enforce that with other men, that's where I think we come to that stalemate, because you have a lot of men who say not all men, they're still good men, but the problem is men together don't hold other men accountable. I'm not a bad guy yet, but you know that there's a bunch of other guys being assholes with asshole behavior, and until that is addressed, until everybody can come together for accountability, it's just going to be a cycle of it keep happening. So I think women holding the line, yes, it does help in the sense that it might push change, but that's what we're seeing. So many younger men, so many men in general, there's the epidemic of men being lonely and incels rise. I saw a really great video where this therapist was talking about in history, incels, there was a place for them. That's why we went to wars. That's why they had Vikings. They would take these sexless men who could not get sex, essentially. There was a place for them to be able to get out those frustrations without being harmful potentially to women. They were harmful in the sense like you're sending them to the Americas to go look for things, and they're hurting indigenous women, people that they come into contact with. But this is like not anything particularly new. So I think we're going to see a rise in the incels, because we're seeing a rise in women not wanting to have sex, being celibate by choice. And the incels are the men who are not celibate by choice. They are in a situation where they're not being able to have sex. So I think we're going to start seeing more violence, unfortunately, and more women isolating and being happy but celibate, essentially, because there is that divide. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And that's just you guys are men. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but that's
what Spider-Man 2 is all about.
If Spider-Man had a community, like we were talking about before, but I was trying to find a tweet. Robert Evans, who hosts Behind the Bastards and a couple other podcasts, there was some study or whatever with like the rise of male loneliness and the population crisis, big air quotes on that, because we all know what that means and all that stuff, and was talking about the way like incel culture and that whole thing is like deliberately weaponized by like far right people and bad actors and stuff like Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan and all those guys to stir up an audience and stir the pot and get those people. We can't send them to go be Vikings anymore, but we can do whatever nefarious shit they want to get up to and have their Twitter armies at the ready and stuff. And that's fucking terrifying. And I mean, definitely where you were referencing before, like you might on an individual, family to family or whatever, small local, community have these kind of values and other stuff instilled in you. and then you go out in the world and have it like socialized out of you by the other men that don't have that stuff, and you say something and you're the only one saying something, and you're like, well, I guess next time I won't say anything.
Right.
And that's what's got to flip, like Danielle was talking about.
Well, join us next week for some romance on repeat as we rewind back to the Notebook episode in honor of its 20th anniversary. And don't forget to check out our bonus episode with Mike and Mike coming out later this week. You guys so much for joining us.
Yeah,
We really love
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. So
yeah, all subsequent Marvel episodes will be earmarked. We may have to throw in, it sounds like a rom-com every now and then to get y'all up to speed on some of those.
Yeah, definitely. I've been dating my girlfriend for like 5 years now, and I've watched a lot of those rom-coms in that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've watched a few of them.
Nice.
And as always, be kind and rewind.